And let's see, we should be live. Let me just confirm that's all good here before I go to the Stream Manager menu. Okay, dashboard, menu, manager, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. So now we are gonna see what it's gonna be. RNG 1 through 4, because let's see, we had driving, then trains, then water, then planes. Okay, and it's gonna be driving. Now this one I do work with a sort of substitute, because well, one of the games that I picked was not exactly suited for what do you call it, actual talk, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, so for actual playing, so instead I just prepared a bunch of related topics to talk about instead. Okay, where is my paint? Okay. Then just zoom in a bit. Okay, cool. Right, it wants me to move the window a little. Alright. Sure, why not? Yes, okay, good. So, yeah, cool. Nice. Now I will have to update everything. And let's go just car related apps. And well, then technically that is going to be just chatting. And let's do that. Right, and then okay, and all I gotta do is pin that, and then that's both of those done as well. Cool. So far so good. Right. Right, okay, good enough. So maybe, let's see, no outline and solid fill. And then if we make this one black, then that means we can just do this too. Yeah. Okay, so let me just write a bunch of stuff, and we can do this, and then we don't have to like keep changing the colors. So that's really neat. Now where did I leave my phone? Because I had the topics written down there. So that window is open, is it? Yeah. Okay. What's the weather like? Oh, shouldn't be too bad. Right. Okay. Now I will just open the window a bit more because it's a little hotter than I thought it would be. Alright, now let's just see how this gets onto the display, or not. Okay, right, I see, I see. Okay, so like right now I'm just gonna complain about some things of car designs, cause you're on the road and there's a car. Oh, there's a nice little car in front of you. Whoop whoop whoop, whatever. And they also got some lights. But for some reason, some of those lights have some sort of issue. So there's multiple lights on the back of the car, and sometimes the way it's designed is just kind of shit. So, oh, you have this car, right? And you've probably heard of the blinker, yeah? The one that turns on and off. Tick 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 tick. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So, tell me, whose fucking idea was it to make it animated? Who thought, hey, this thing that is supposed to communicate instantly, let's just make it not do that? Let's just give it a nice little animation, like, oh yeah, sure, a bit of light, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more. Oh, and from there you work back. And it's like, what the? No. A blinker is supposed to have two states. On, yeah, and off. And no in between. No fucking bullshit. Yeah? But that's not bad enough. Like any properly designed car, just it's got a clear blinker light. Yeah, it's just there. But some just decide to have some random ass shit like this, like just a little slit of light, basically. Like this really thin little line, and come on now, come on. Maybe instead of thinking of laws to fuck over the people, you add like a proper, like, oh hey, the blinker light needs to be a proper light, and it needs to go on and off and not have some animation bullshit. Oh, and also it needs to be fucking orange, because red is for the normal, okay? And like most of the time it is orange, because like that's how what it's fucking supposed to be. But some cars, and the reason does escape me, have the blinker as just being a red light. The same as what would just be the normal light. If that's not bad enough, some even share the same position. It's not like, oh, you've got the normal light and then the blinker light. No, it's all just one and the same. And it's no, just don't do that. That's stupid. Like you're literally taking away the point of the blinker, which is to communicate. It's just really annoying, and it's done for no reason. It is literally worse in every single conceivable way. And there's no fucking excuse, yeah? There's no excuse at all. But okay, that's enough about blinkers. Yeah? So now let's move on to the next one. Because and again, this is also about a car, but this is specifically about the back. You know, like the blinker issues, they can also work on the front of the car. You know, like oh yeah, sure, they can still have the same shit going on. So as you may know, you've got your red lights for hey, this car is this is the back of the car, and then you've got the orange for the blinkers or whatever, and there's also the white for reverse. Which it makes a lot of sense. That's like every other kind of light. I mean, except maybe the fog light, but that's like a special case. It has a 1, 2. Symmetry. It is there, and it's there, as it's supposed to be. But for some reason, some cars just they only have the 1. They only have the 1. Sometimes they do like some sort of nonsense, like oh hey, let's make this one red as well, and like just make that another white one. Just don't be stupid. Don't be insane about this. Just be sensible, and just do the reasonable thing, and make it the right one. Yeah, the one that's not being taken over by anything else. Like I mean, yes, the front lights are also white, but that's why you've also got these ones, eh? Like that tells you that you're looking at the back of a car. Even if it's middle of the night and there's no street lights or anything. Yeah. And now this next one is gonna be one of my issues with automatics. Like I get the idea, okay, but a car, it's shifters and all that, yeah. Like wow, okay, yeah, and like. And pretty much this is this is kind of how the gears work. Idle and drive, and then that's gonna be kilometers per hour. Yeah, kilometers per hour. Okay, so for your first gear, that's gonna be like 7 at idle, and you can drive about like 10, but anything past that you need to shift up. Like it's really the low one. Yeah. Okay. And then you get your second one, and that's like 17 roughly when idle. I mean that's what the speedometer gives, and that's like of course it's got a margin, but like rough idea. Yeah. And that's a good one for if you want to drive at speeds higher than 10 and about 30. I mean, like you could probably add like a 5 onto like 35, but that's just how it works, and that's nice and neat. And you do that like that to make sure that your RPM is between 1500 and 2000 roughly. Yeah. And this this is like this is your driving stuff. Like idling your car tends to be about like. I mean, it depends on make and model, but the ones I've seen, and I've driven a few different ones, both automatic and manual. And it's gonna be 900, right? But when you're actually driving, chances are it's gonna be here. Except when you're about to shift, like then, it's gonna get higher. Like then it's gonna be between 2000 and 3000. Then you shift, and then it goes back to that range again, right? So that's why you have your different gears. Now, a third gear, I don't know. You don't really idle at your higher gears. Also, this one shouldn't be a 6. I mean, like yeah, some cars have a 6 there, but yeah, okay. Yeah, no, just yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. You know, like you don't really idle in any of the higher gears, right? You don't just let it run as it is. Like at all of these, you're gonna be hitting the gas, yeah, to some degree. You know, like you might just be pushing down the pedal a little bit, but you are pushing down on the pedal, right? Okay. And then third gear, that's for, speeds between 30 and 50. And fourth gear, that's for 60. And fifth gear, that is for yeah. Right, okay, so you shift to this for that, you shift to this for that. And this is really just, 70 plus, yeah. That's like fourth if you're like between 50 and 70, and you're like roughly in that range. Especially if it like changes a bit, and then you probably want to keep it a bit at 4. But if you're gonna get higher speed, then you want it to be in fifth, right? And when you're driving a manual, then you can just shift up as the situation requires. And then like wow, you shift. And you're driving 80, for example. It's like, wow, 4, no more, because now you want to be in fifth gear to get your RPM good. Yeah. But when you're driving an automatic, it just does what it wants, So then you can be driving 80, and it will be like pushing the RPM here, but it will just stubbornly stay in fourth and just refuse. But it refused. There, refused. It doesn't shift up, even though it should, to get the RPM to like your normal levels, to do the good stuff, and that's not all, but it's also. In this range, the car communicates speed by more than the speedometer, right? You can also just feel it, it's clear. It's clear. You can get a vibe of like, oh, hey, we're going faster, we're going a bit slower, like that. But when you're at these higher RPM, then stops really communicating that well. Right, the same kind of changes have a lesser effect. So it's like, so it's also really annoying, because then it's harder to they keep your speed at a level. You need to be way more conscious about it. You need to direct more of your attention to that. Which, like, of course you can do it, and it's safe, but it's also really, really annoying and stupid. And that's why I kinda don't get the hype, and I definitely don't get the push for automatics. Because really, the peak of engineering, like the peak of driving, would be manual. Yeah. Because usually like shifting, it's not really an issue, right? Like once you've learned it, then regardless regardless of the exact car, because all of them behave differently, right? Like it's not just the engine type. It's just each individual car is just it's its own piece, right? And you gotta respect it. But like like that's fine. Really, your issue is 0 to moving, yeah. Like yeah, you've probably heard Newton's law. It's probably related to that. So really, all you need is like the shifting, manual shifting, so that you get the control and stall protection for like actually going from 0 to moving. Yeah, let's just do stall protect. That way you also like you don't have to worry about as much as giving the right amount of gas support. I mean, like that's what I call it, gas support. Because some cars, like they can go purely on the clutch, right? But usually, especially if you just want to get it a bit smoother, or if the engine is a bit weaker, you do also gotta boost it a bit with the gas pedal to actually make sure that the engine still works and it doesn't just shut down on you. I was like, well, you don't need automatic shifting. Really, like the only thing is just that you keep your control, but if you let go of the clutch a bit too quickly, it will just it will just slow itself down with how it pops up, right? And that's really all you need. And then you've got the peak of engineering. No auto, just a little upgrade, right? And then you've got the peak of engineering, right? The just freaking 10 out of 10 car logic, right? But this sort of thing doesn't exist. And then when it comes to having to worry a bit more about the clutch, or just having no fucking control over the gears, I'm gonna take control with a bit of inconvenience over constant annoyance at the car being in the wrong gear and not doing what you want it to do, and not letting you give it certain commands. Yeah, like it's also like automatics. It's the closest to self-driving that I would ever fucking tolerate. Anything more than that, and it's like nah. At that point, that's just no, right? Because it is a hefty chunk of metal, right? It is a hefty chunk of metal on the road, and you are responsible for that. It's like wow. I don't know. Let's say 2K kilo, right? And that's just metal, and like yeah, sure, it's got the wow. This is a terrible drawing, but anyways, and you're moving at high speeds, like the highest you can go is, well, I mean, legally in the Netherlands is 130, which is quite a bit, and you've got that, and you've got that, and that's like a lot. That is a whole lot of force. Yeah. Like that's just ooh boy. So then, the one thing you want is to have control over the damn thing. that is moving at those speeds, you know, and you want to do what you have to do to keep it in the best possible way. Especially because, like, with all the idiots on the roads, you at least want the thing that you're driving to just behave and be like something that you can control, right? And that allows for full control. But you know, like some people disagree, and that's, you know, hey, good for you, I guess. Good for you. Now here's one of my driving pet peeves, right? Like I've already talked about like how the Belgians and the Germans and the French are absolutely terrible on the road. But this is something, regardless of nation, it's just, yeah. So say you got a 2-lane road. You know, one way there, one way there, and then there's, you know, like this big truck, and it's like, okay, you know what? Fair enough. You've literally only got this one, so that's cool. Or alternatively, there's a bunch of lanes, right? You know, as a matter of fact, it is at least 3. You know, and then let's just do plus. It's like, okay, you know, it can be more. And then you got one truck on the right, and this one is going, I don't know, let's say 87. And this one is going 88. Sure. So I know it's really slow. You know, like their legal speed limit is 90. You know, like regardless of whether it's a 100 road, a 120, or a 130. For your cargo trucks, that's always going to be 90 as like the absolute limit. So overtaking like this, but slowly, it's annoying, but it's fine, because the normal car can just go 100 or more, right? 100 plus, and it's like, and then it can just move back over here and then back over here, because, you know, like, you're no longer overtaking, so you need to move to the right, and then everything is cool. We are all chilling. We are happy. Yeah, we are happy. Yay. But there is this one configuration on the roads, and I think you know where I'm going with this, and that's when there's exactly 2 lanes going in a direction, and you've got one here, and let's just keep the same speed. Like the point is, the speed difference is minimal. Like, the exact speed, of course, doesn't matter. And then this one wants to overtake at 88, and it's like, bro, okay, first of all, we're already allowed to go like 100 here, but second, especially in the left lane, you're also allowed to go faster. You know, you're allowed to go 110 on if it's a road like this, yeah. And then you've got this dude, and it's going there, and it is going on like a freaking snail space, yeah. Like this interaction is death, yeah. Okay. And then you're here as a car, and you're being blocked for no reason. Like, what are you doing? You're not even gaining much time, because there's clearly not a significant speed difference between the two of you, and really it should just be outlawed that trucks overtaking like this take up all the lanes. Like they need to keep at least one lane free, right? But no, of course they don't. And it happens so often. And it's so fucking annoying. Okay. Now let's talk about this little thing called driving exams. Because in the Netherlands, I mean, it's not like they're gonna admit it. But if you're young, they're not even gonna like actually genuinely judge your first exam or two. Which means that regardless of how you do, you're gonna have to go again, and then the costs rack up. And in my case, it totaled 7K just to get the driver's license. So let's go through all the exams to see what I failed on. One was I slowed down at intersections. Yeah. Specifically, because here, I mean, I don't know how this works in some other places, especially outside of Europe. But here, like the right side will get to go first, yeah? And, visibility was dog shit. So I slowed down for the intersection so that I can actually see what's going on there. But that was the grounds for failing the exam. Okay. Bullshit. But okay, maybe it was like also my general driving vibe, because again, my first exam, so even though it's utter bullshit, it's like, okay, maybe they got something of a reason, whatever. So then we go for the second, and okay, I did make one mistake. Okay. But no intervention required. Right? No, because that's the basic deal, eh? You have some margin of error, but if you just make a bunch of small mistakes, or are an issue in some way, or if there's one thing that requires interventions, then yeah. Wow, I am not good at writing this. But of course, if there needs to be an intervention, then yeah, no, okay, I just go it there, right? Okay. So it's like, this one should not be ground yet, okay? Guess what was the main reason for failing? You can guess. I did not overtake where it was not necessary. No, I just stayed in the right lane, I did not camp, I did not obstruct anything in any kind of way. I just drove normally, like any reasonable person in the right lane. And this is foreshadowing, by the way, because remember, this is about an overtake that was not strictly necessary. Yeah. foreshadowing. Then third one. Yeah, no, like I do have to be real, like fair is fair. That's my bad, G. Okay. Okay, so 4, I drove entirely fine. Yeah? And also like the special maneuvers, everything good. The only issue was, I think you might be able to guess, but it was that I did overtake where it wasn't necessary. Now, and it was entirely safe, it was entirely up to procedure, and it did not cause any hindrance to any of the traffic. The only issue was it was simply like pointless. Now, do you see the issue with both of these being grounds for failure? Do you see the issue? Do you see the issue? That's right. Xavier. More like Cevite. Because having to deal with them is like going through some. Well, I'm not gonna say the thing, but against your will. Like, they are so full of shit. And you can't really contest that stuff because there's no like recordings or anything. And only at the 5th one did I finally get a sane person that could. Well, maybe at the 3rd one it was also a sane person who was reasonable, but then I actually did mess up. So that was on me, right? And finally at the 5th one, and I knew like, oh, that like, okay, so some things just didn't go smooth, like some error. So we walked into the building, and I was like, okay then, yeah, whatever. And then the examiner was like, oh hey, you passed, by the way. And I was like, wait, no, I wanted to be excited, but I was just genuinely surprised. You want to know? You know what? You want to know my exact reaction when I passed? Oh, yeah. It was like I had just dealt with so much of their bullshit. Because also random ass psych test for no reason that achieved nothing, but just it costs another 250, and it tells literally no one anything. It's just bureaucracy, and the kind of questions. It was really just sort of thing like, okay, either don't ask anyone, or ask everyone. But just targeting people randomly, that's bullshit. That's a lot of bullshit. That's quite a bit of money for literally nothing. Okay, but okay. Anyways, finally, I got it, and I was like, oh, okay, good, it's over. And then still took like a month or so for the bureaucracy to actually get me my actual license. And then finally I could drive. I mean, like, I could drive already. Like, I was a decent driver pretty early on, but now you're allowed to drive without supervision, right? That's the main thing. especially because in the Netherlands it is pretty strict. You know, like you can't just have like any random person being like your supervisor for driving. Like it needs to be someone who's trained and has got a specific license for being in that role. You know, and the lesson cars they also have like their own sets of brake and clutch, and I think some of them have their own steering wheel, but the ones I didn't. But yeah, and this took me like 2 or 3 years total because I was in high school. You know, so that means that I can't just since that that you're limited in your times because you know you can't really do it during school. But there, after a lot of hard work and some straight up robbed money, especially this one. Like the other things are bullshit enough, but like you can sort of twist that. But this is literally just nothing. It's finally over. I can finally drive. Oh yeah, but now what is funny is that like whenever I buy something in the store, generally it's gonna be something alcoholic, but not even for me, cause I prefer my 0.0s, and you know, and whenever at a restaurant, for example, you know, like I prefer my chocolate milk with whip. Oh, and oftentimes they even have a nice little biscuit in, so that's really cool. But yeah, anyway, you know, like you're at the store and you're like at the self checkout or maybe at the normal checkout. Anyway, you're buying a thing, right? And then it's like, wow, hey, ID please. And then instead of getting my normal ID, what I do is like I get my driver's license because I'm like, hey, you know, this is not just something that I can use to be allowed to drive. It's also something that's like actually pretty difficult to get. I think it's a license. Actually, I can pull it out right here. Let's see. Yeah, come on. Okay, it's. I have the same issue with the checks because for some reason my phone case really likes to hold on to this. Okay. Hello. Come on. Out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's see. Right, it's a B license, and that's gonna be your standard passenger car, right? And I also get that's just like standard. That's just included, and that's an AM license, which is for like for not quite motorcycles. You know, it's like more than just an electric bicycle or something, but it's still below motorcycle. Right. Oh, hey, and let's look at the other licenses here. You know that you could get. There's also B1, and that's for vans. There's C1 for smaller cargo trucks. C for larger cargo trucks, but still with only. Oh, and there's also CE for if it's like even larger. Then there's D1 for smaller buses and D for. I'm just going by the icons here, by the way, because you know most of these I'm not interested in. I just want my normal passenger vehicle, and that's cool. And then D is larger buses. BE is to drive passenger car with a larger trailer. C1E is medium cargo truck with extra trailer. Okay, and then D1E is small bus with large trailer or a trailer. I don't know. Like I know that in the B license you're allowed to use a trailer, but only a relatively small one. So for BE, then that's gotta be to have a larger one, right? But I don't know how it works with the other ones. Whether that's just a trailer at all or specifically for large trailers. And then there's also DE, and that's large with Swift trailer. And then I mean the ordering is a bit weird because like you have AM, A1, A2, A, B1, B, C1, C, D1, D, BE, C1E. Oh, okay, so it's very clear that E refers to like the trailer part. Oh, so maybe that's why that then loops around back in order, but with okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, oh, C1E, C, D1E, which also looks like the word die, so that's like Final Destination kind of shit. DE, but here's the favorite one, because this one just gives a whole bunch of letters, because this is very clearly not about just numbering it, but that's T. And you know what the T stands for? Dat is een tre. En een tre, daar ga je mee trein. Like that's your yum yum yum. Oh, look at that! Yeah, see, the T license is for the tractor. And instead of just being like, oh yeah, no, we just keep the numbering going, they're just like, hey, almost no one uses this. I mean, at least when it comes to like, oh no, actually, some of those other ones are also pretty niche. So I don't really know what the exact logic is, but they were just like, yeah, sure, let's use the first letter. Why not? Why don't we? ah, it, and yeah, that seems to be just about it for today's stream. I did end up having a bit more to say than I thought I did, which is nice. Like actually 45 minutes of just random blabbering on about stuff. Yeah, sorry about that. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a nice day. Hope to see you again. And well, we're just gonna have 3 more streams like this: 1400 transport themed, 1400 Amsterdam time transport themed, and then from then on it's uncertain. And with that, I say a good bye. I'll update like if there's any information, of course. Yeah. Okay. And now for real, goodbye. Yeah. Oh, I clicked.